Daredevil Born Again is my most anticipated upcoming MCU project. As a massive fan of the character, I'm so excited to see where he goes next after waiting 6 very long years to see him back at his own solo series at long last. But I'd be lying if I didn't say I wasn't worried about one major thing, and that's how it handles Foggy and Karen. You see, if you're chronically online like I am, then you're probably aware of the original plans for Born Again. They would have seen both Foggy and Karen die before the series even started, as Marvel was trying to distance themselves from the Netflix series that came before it. If you're out of the loop, let me catch you up to speed. Foggy would have been killed in the first episode and Karen wouldn't have even been mentioned, but she would be presumed dead. Then there would have been a time jump showing that out of grief, Matt had retired as Daredevil. He wouldn't even suit up until like 4 episodes into the series, as the show was mostly a legal procedural drama. Could that have worked? Possibly. Matt's already tried to retire the devil in the past and anything could be good, but to me that just sounds boring and it spits on the legacy of the character's history. I still can't believe they thought that was a good idea, and I guess they realized how insane that pitch sounded because during the writer's strike, the series went through a huge rework to make things more exciting. Even with the show being halfway through principal photography, they decided to scrap the majority of it to make the show an even better Daredevil series. Not only did this creative overhaul make changes to more closely align Born Again with the Netflix series, but Foggy and Karen were announced to officially return. It's an immensely satisfying change that I hope will stay throughout the entirety of the series because Foggy and Karen are the heart of Daredevil. But here's the thing. Despite all that, I'm still incredibly concerned about Foggy and Karen's fate. While we know that they're fully back thanks to these glorious set photos revealing the worst kept secret of all time, part of me wonders how much of the series they'll actually be in. The report from THR made it clear that although they are back, the rework will be keeping many scenes from the original plot and working them into the new story. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but it does worry me that Foggy and or Karen is going to meet an untimely end at some point in the series. And hey, maybe it's me just overthinking something that doesn't matter and reading too far into the minimal plot details we know about this show. Actually no, it's definitely that. But I'm still going to make my case for why Born Again needs to avoid killing off its 2 most important supporting characters. Also, I am going to talk about the leaked set videos we saw, so potential spoilers ahead. Let's start with Karen, because I can already hear someone saying, but currently unnamed host of the whole shebang, the most famous Karen moment for the comics is her death at the hands of Bullseye. What if they're just bringing that moment into live action? And I would say that's a good point, commenter, but even if they are, I would think that would be a bad idea. Even with Bullseye also returning and immediately going after Karen, as you can hear in this clip,
Hello, Karen.
It shouldn't lead to her death. Season 3 already did their take on this infamous moment and subverted expectations by having Karen live. They even recreated the panel with Karen and Matt switching places to reinforce that they were doing something different. To go back on this change and do it for the sake of comic accuracy instead of following up on the story potential would be a waste of Karen's character. That specific moment works better in the comics because she's a lot more one-dimensional. The series fleshed her out into a more nuanced character with a deeply troubled past full of accidental murder and drug addiction. The guilt she feels from that past life is something that brings her closer to the ever-guilty Catholic in Matt, and is something that could have been explored further in Season 4, but we never got there. Now, Born Again gives us an opportunity to see Matt and Karen together in a way we haven't seen them before, especially now that she's found her new purpose in life. She's always held back her feelings due to believing she was unworthy of love, but having both her and Matt enter a happy place together would be some great growth to see them go through. Elektra may be the love of Daredevil's life, but Karen is Matt's one true pairing. We never got to see that relationship fully realized in live action, and I think there's still a lot of room to show that. To have Karen's character go through this incredibly well-written journey only to kill her off for shock value would be a huge mistake. As of now, it's been rumored that she's only going to appear in 3 episodes of the 9-episode season. It doesn't give me a lot of hope when Bullseye is also only appearing in 3 episodes as well. All signs point towards her death, but I hope it's just a red herring. I get that Matt has a lot of different love interests because he's a total man whore, and I love him for that. But having Karen die just so they could potentially introduce a new character would be a complete waste of all the time and effort put into making her feel special. She isn't replaceable and has become a pivotal member of Nelson and Murdoch to the point where she's got her name on the sign. I want to see this new version of Karen get to live out her life as an attorney alongside Matt and Foggy, not as another female character ruthlessly killed off to further the male's story. I stand by that it's not a good idea to kill her, but I can at least see the story potential in her death, and there have been a lot of other people to fill that role in Matt's life even if it would do a disservice to her character. Foggy, on the other hand, he's the one character you can't kill when it comes to Daredevil stories. It can't be said enough just how important Foggy is when it comes to grounding Matt. Their friendship is the one consistent tie Matt has to a normal life. Even from just a storytelling perspective, he's there to help progress stories that don't involve the Daredevil identity and develop more of Matt's personal life. But when it comes to the characters themselves, Matt would be completely lost without Foggy. He's the North Star in Matt's life, someone constantly guiding him and pushing him towards doing the right thing. He acts as the voice of reason and is someone who Matt can always rely on as his business partner and best friend. If Foggy were to die, Matt would go insane so fast because he's completely alone and unsure of himself. And I know, Foggy has died before in the comics. Spoiler for the end of Zdarsky's most recent Daredevil run, but Matt literally fought his way through hell to bring him back to life. Like the hell with all the fire and demons. It's literally cool as hell, but you can't do that in a grounded series like this. Deaths in comics don't matter because it's so easy to wave them away and bring characters back. It would have been seemingly permanent in Born Again so Marvel could give the character a clean slate. Even if they planned on exploring how much of a mess Matt's life would have been without Foggy, I'm still not on board with it. It's an interesting idea, but he can't come back by the end of it. You just have to replace him with someone else, and that's not what I want to see at all. I want to see the story I cared about continue, not have the characters I love killed off just for the sake of it. That's not good writing or satisfying storytelling, and would be a huge injustice against that character. Foggy is the single most important character to Matt Murdock. More than Karen, more than Elektra, and even more than Fisk. There's nobody who even comes close to helping define what makes him a good hero more than Foggy. He may be a normal person, but that's what makes him so special. Foggy is able to bring Matt back down to earth by giving him someone to care about and someone who is fiercely loyal to him. Sure, they may go through a few breakups here and then, but they always patch things up because of how much they care about each other. A vast majority of Season 3 saw them lose touch due to, a whole building dropping on top of Matt, but we saw how negatively affected his mental health. He was begging criminals to kill him in the street and came closer than ever to killing Fisk himself. He wasn't doing well and is obviously so much better once they're reunited. Now that we just got those two back together, I don't want to see Foggy die. What would that accomplish? It would make Matt angry and unhinged for sure, but there are many other ways to go about doing that. Let's just say they need to have Foggy out of action for all of Born Again to tell the story they want to, but we can't kill him off. What would I do? We give him cancer. I sounded way too excited about that, but just hear me out. This is what I think should happen to fit those constraints and tell the best possible story in Born Again. Matt, Foggy, and Karen's lives are all going great. They're actually thriving and happy for once. Things are going suspiciously well, but Matt is enjoying this new lease on life and lets his guard down for a night out with the three of them. That's when Bullseye reappears to finish the job. He spent the last few years recovering and is determined to kill Karen Page and tracks her down to Josie's bar. This leads to a bloody brawl as Daredevil is looking to defend his friends. It looks like Bullseye is going to shoot Karen when he gets tackled by Matt, but the bullet now unfortunately hits Foggy. This sends Matt into a rage where he nearly kills Bullseye, but he stops himself at the last second to go check on a dying Foggy. He quickly takes him to a nearby hospital, and thankfully it looks like he's going to pull through, until the doctors find something worse from the tests. Foggy has cancer. This obviously shakes Matt to his core because it's the one thing he can't protect his best friend from and would take him out of action for the rest of the series. Ideally, they could have Matt visit him consistently throughout the series and do what he can to keep Foggy safe. Maybe if things get too dangerous, you have Karen watch over him for the rest of the series and that's how they both get written out. Regardless, it's something that adds even more dramatic tension than killing him off and is a story that could be explored in the long term. It keeps Foggy and Karen around, but it pushes them away so they can tell the story they were planning on, just in a way that embraces the continuity of the Netflix show. Born Again is working through the constraints of bringing back these characters into a reworked narrative that didn't even involve them in the first place, which sounds like a huge challenge as a writer. If they have to be absent from the season for that reason, I totally understand it. We already know that Season 2 is coming after, and hopefully they have a much larger presence there, but I'm just begging Marvel not to kill them off permanently. Foggy and Karen were the heart and soul of Daredevil. That series would not be nearly as good as it is without them. Don't get me wrong, superhero action is exciting, especially with a character like Daredevil, but the drama of a dual identity is the strongest part of that series to me. Matt working alongside both of them to clean up the streets using the law is such an important aspect of the character, and it would be a huge mistake to abandon that. Both of them are significant figures in not just Matt's lives, but their own. They each have their own stories to continue, and I hope to be able to see that happen in Born Again. If they even think about killing them off again, I may just have to intervene and make sure they survive the series by any means necessary, even if it results in a world on fire. But hey, what do I know? I'm just going insane, getting worked up over something that isn't even confirmed yet. I'm just happy to see these two characters who mean the world to me return, and I hope they get done justice. Marvel may not be able to change the past, but they can stop themselves from making the same mistake in the future. Thank you all for watching and listening to me rant about this. It's a topic I'm very passionate about, and I just want to make a quick video detailing why I think it would be a huge mistake to lose them. Hopefully one of you works at Marvel and I was able to convince you not to do something drastic, but if not, I just hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think they'll do in the comments down below, and if you want to see more stuff like this, make sure to like and subscribe. Foggy and Karen's lives are at stake here. If you don't subscribe, they will die, so please save them.